Let us not forget everything that happens. It's by the will of Allah. Holy will. It's time to unite and stand, and we will be the best amongst men. It's not time to be extreme or duty unthinkable, but to stand together as one. Tune into Sunnah followers, streaming every day, various platforms. Trust me, you'll find a way. Sunnah followers, you will make it through. The fitrah is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah by your side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. You will make it through. The fitrah is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Welcome to our first class for tonight. This is our class entitled Diluting Wala wal Bara. And by the way, this background probably looks great on TV. I forgot who all have us on the big screen TV. Put us on the big screen TV so the children can see this globe passing around and they can see Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd standing there with his hand out and Sister Laila trying to break it down. All right, so make sure we're on the big screen TV. And alhamdulillah, this class we have been discussing the importance of understanding the meaning of the Shahada. If I were to ask the average Muslim, what is the Shahada? What are we testifying to? I get every answer but the right answer. Let's see if I can get the right answer tonight. When we pledged our allegiance, well, I done gave the answer away. When we testified to La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, what are we testifying to? Who can answer that question? That's the statement that brings us into the folds of Islam. That's the statement that brings us together as a nation. That statement was the standard and the banner and the flag of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali, may Allah be pleased with them, as they spreaded Islam throughout the entire earth. What does that statement profess? Who can give us the answer? Come on, people. We don't have all night. Let's get on that mic. Y'all are all Muslims here. Every Muslim on planet Earth. You see that Earth rotating? You should know what is the meaning of the Shahada. Let's hear it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said we would become just like the Christians. The Christians lost what their purpose was, forgot what it was. They have no meaning of what they're here to do. And we're the same way. Who can tell me what is the meaning of the Shahada? Okay, Sister Trey, she says that Allah is the only God to be worshipped and Muhammad is the last messenger, plus allegiance and the 6 articles of faith. Okay, Pamela said we're pledging allegiance to Allah, to his prophet, and all the believers. Anyone in the Zoom room would like to try to get on the mic where you can express yourselves even better. These sisters are typing. And when you type, you try to summarize. If I were to ask Sister Trey, she would give me the correct answer. If I were to ask Pamela, she'd give me the correct answer. But they're trying to save time because they're typing. People in Zoom, who's in that Zoom room? I want to hear one of my students get on that mic and tell me what that Shahada is about. What kind of Muslims are you that you can't answer that question?
The Shahada is... Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The Shahada is that when we say in the Shahada, we are testifying, we are declaring that we believe that nothing is worthy of worship but Allah, and we believe in everything that Allah commands us to believe in. For example, His angels, His book, His prophet, the Day of Judgment. We believe everything Allah told us about the unseen world, about paradise, what happens in the grave. And we testify that we also accept all Allah laws and rules, and we only obey Him in everything. Also testify that we will do all the obligations that He imposed upon us. We also testify our allegiance is only to Allah and to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and to the believing Muslim all over to the world. And our allegiance only to the religion is.
MashaAllah. That's the meaning of the Shahada. But you guys don't get that answer, do you? Most people say, oh, it just means that we worship Allah and that Muhammad is his last prophet. No, no, no. It goes deeper than that. And this is why we have to continue with these Aqidah classes. Because if we don't do Aqidah, don't learn, if Aqidah, we're not learning the correct belief system. And that means all of our good deeds will be in vain. You're not going to get through the question of the grave. By the way, this question will come up when you dead. When those angels pull your soul from your throat, they're going to ask you this. And you see how most people are not going to be able to answer it? So the angels are going to ask you, what were you living on earth doing? That's why you were into backbiting. That's why you were into kafir bashing other Muslims. Because you didn't understand the meaning of the Shahada. That's why you celebrated holidays that you shouldn't have celebrated. You did birthdays. You worship things that you weren't supposed to worship because you didn't know the meaning of the Shahada. And since you didn't know the meaning of it, you didn't live it. Do you guys understand that? So, here at Sunnah Followers, we have to set the record straight. Oh, yeah. We have to be those who bring back good traditions like Umar, radiallahu anhu. When Umar brought back the Taraweeh prayer during Ramadan, that was a good tradition that the Muslims had abandoned. Well, we got to bring back the true Tawheed and Aqidah that the Muslims have forgotten. When somebody asks you, what do you believe in as a Muslim? What makes you different than a Christian or a Jew? You have to know the answer. The answer is, I testify that there is only one deity worthy of worship. And that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was his last prophet. And I testify to believe everything that Allah commanded us to believe in. I believe in all his prophets, all his books, all his angels, the day of resurrection. And I believe that everything good and everything bad that happens in this world happens because he willed it. And I believe in the day of judgment and everything he told us of it. And also, I am pledging that my allegiance is only to Allah and then to his prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and to the religion of Islam and all human beings who follow it. That's the meaning of the Shahada. but we don't get those answers. Most Muslims don't know about wala wa bara. That's what wala wa bara is. It's the second half of the Shahada. Wala refers to allegiance. Bara refers to distancing myself from anything that contradicts that allegiance to Allah or the religion or the Prophet or the Muslims. That's why we don't celebrate holidays. It's not a matter of haram and lawful and unlawful. It's a matter of allegiance. My allegiance is not to America. I don't pledge allegiance to the American flag. I don't pledge allegiance to any of its culture or traditions. My allegiance is to the religion of Islam. I live by the laws of Allah. I celebrate what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded me to celebrate. Y'all see that? And you ain't got to go into no history because you don't know the history of Thanksgiving anyway. Okay? Mother's Day is coming up. Oh yeah. Mother's Day is coming up. Do I celebrate it? Are you supposed to? If you understood the meaning of that Shahada, the testimony of faith, you understood the meaning of it and what our allegiance is, you will say, sorry, I have to decline from this. Why? Because my allegiance is to the religion of Islam, not to the culture of America. In my religion, in my culture, because Islam is not just a religion, it's a culture. In my culture, I am taught that every day is a day of celebrating the mother. My Lord commands me to lower my wing to my mother, to always respect her and be kind to her, even in her old age. So by you Americans setting aside just one day out the year, this contradicts my allegiance to the religion of Islam. So I don't take part in it because every day is my Mother's Day. You guys see that? So it's not about lawful and unlawful all the time. It's about the second part of that Shahada, your allegiance. No, I don't celebrate birthdays. I don't participate in birthdays because they go against my religion. My Lord, I know that celebrating birthdays is a Western tradition. But my allegiance is to Allah, and Allah commands us to not commemorate any human being. Do not put anyone on a level equal to him. When you celebrate birthdays, you are saying that because this human being was born, he's worthy of being commemorated. He's worthy of being given gifts and given food because he was born. Well, my culture teaches me that no human being has anything to do with his or her birth. They were created by Allah. And if you were to commemorate anyone for bringing you into this world, it would be Allah. So I'm going to distance myself from that. I'm going to distance myself from any birthday celebrations. It contradicts my allegiance to Allah, to the Prophet Muhammad, and to my religion of Islam. Y'all understand that? That second part of the Shahada is a lot. If we understood it as Muslims, we would be doing our holidays and not other people's. We would be living in solidarity with each other, not separating from each other and adapting behaviors, lifestyles, and thought processes of other people. So that allegiance is everything. That's the second part of the Shahada that you don't hear none of these brothers talking about. And that's sad. So this is what we've been studying for the past year. And yesterday, alhamdulillah, we spoke about how as Muslims, even though we're living in Western societies, we're supposed to come together and establish a Muslim community within the society so we can come together and remind each other as to what our purpose in life is. And we can support each other and we can help each other. And that's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whenever two or more Muslims come together, that's when congregational prayer becomes incumbent upon them. Whenever two or more Muslims come together, that's when we need to turn the barn into a gathering place. And that's when we need to have our weekly meetings to remember Allah. That's when we need to try to set up our own Islamic schools and things. Establish an Islamic community. And we talked yesterday about how whenever two or more Muslims comes together, there are certain qualities that we should have within ourselves. Because as Muslims, part of believing in Allah means that we have to love for the sake of Allah. And what does that mean? Who can tell us what does it mean to love for the sake of Allah? Most Muslims don't understand that either. What does it mean to love for the sake of Allah? It really behooves me how the mic just goes dead over basic Aqidah questions. But if I was to talk about the war in Gaza, y'all have a lot to say.
To love for the sake of Allah means to love the person because Allah sees the good in them instead of what we, our own faults and what we see in the person. Our faults aside, but love that person because there's goodness that Allah sees in them.
Exactly. Loving for the sake of Allah entails putting aside your personal dislikes and your personal likes when you come around another Muslim, and instead look at that person and see the good in them that Allah sees. That's what it means. Loving for the sake of Allah does not mean to follow his laws. That was a good guess, Brother Ibrahim, but that's incorrect. It has nothing to do with Allah's laws. It has to do with loving the things that Allah loves. When you come in contact with another Muslim, you disregard the fact that I got a big nose and you don't like a big nose. You disregard the fact that that brother chews gum when he talks. Disregard the fact that the brother, comes to his appointments late, make excuses for him. And instead, look at the good in him. The fact that whenever you need help, that brother is there to help you. Whenever you need a babysitter, that sister always volunteers. So you're going to set aside your personal dislikes and instead see what Allah sees. That's Ikrami Muslim. That's brotherhood. That's sisterhood in Islam. Something that we've gotten away from. But we talked yesterday about how one of the reasons why we have a hard time loving for the sake of Allah is because nowadays the Muslims are lacking. We're lacking in certain characteristics. There are certain qualities about yourself that you should have, and having them will help you to evolve into a person that can overlook the faults of others and see the good. What are those qualities? Who can remember? What are the qualities? Some of the qualities. We talked about 4 of them. What are the 4 qualities we discussed yesterday that a person must possess within him or herself in order to become or evolve into one who loves for the sake of Allah? Who can remember?
Generosity.
MashaAllah, one of them is compassion. Good job. She said generosity. That's compassion. Exactly. We have to be people of compassion. If you have no compassion, then how can you help anyone? If you have no compassion, how could you even support anyone? So in order to love for the sake of Allah, you have to have compassion for others. Everybody understand that? You understand now, Pamela? Y'all see how the children know. Now do y'all understand that hadith about the children coming in the world with the fitra? She got that answer right. Pamela, you got it wrong. One of the characteristics is compassion. How can you love for the sake of Allah if you're lacking compassion? Good job. What's another quality or another characteristic? Say it again.
Loyalty.
MashaAllah. You hear her other answer? You have to have loyalty. You have to be a person who is loyal. If you're not someone who others can depend on, then how could you possibly look beneath the surface of someone and recognize they're good? When people can't even depend on you, you make commitments that you don't keep. You promise your children if they bring home A's, you're going to take them to the movies, and they bring the A's home and you don't do it. You don't even keep your promises with your children, with your wives, with your husband. So how could you be a person that loves others for the sake of Allah, that looks beneath the surface? Good job. So loyalty, compassion, those are 2 qualities you must possess. What's another one? Good job, Sakina. Sakina said you must be sincere. Oh, yeah. You have to be a genuine person. Sincerity is everything. Even Allah does not accept your deeds if you are not sincere when you do them. A lot of us are insincere. We smile in your face. Backstabbers. A lot of Muslims we meet are backstabbers. They smile in your face and stab you in the back. We're not sincere. We're not genuine. And also, as Sakina said, you have to be trustworthy. Exactly. Good job. You have to be a person who others can trust. I know I can trust my website with AY. I leave this website in the hands of AY every day because I know that she will guard it with her life. She makes sure that it's running 24 hours. Who keeps this website running 24 hours? Sister AY does. I can trust on Fame. That Fame, even though she's got 2 kids and a husband, she will walk around with blasting this website. So if somebody come in here trying to hack or be a fool, she'll run in here and kick and ban them out of here. You know, trust is everything. And to nowadays, it is so hard to find Muslims we can trust, that we can put our property in their hands and our life. So again, those are the four main qualities. You have to be genuine or sincere. Okay? You have to be a person that others can trust. You have to be loyal, and you have to have compassion. Those are the four major characteristics that everything else evolves off of. If you don't have those four things, you will never be able to see beneath the surface of a person and love for the sake of Allah. Does everybody understand that? Those are the main four. It's hard. Okay. And also yesterday, we talked about some tips that we can put to practice that will help us to build strong relationships within our communities. What are some of the tips that we can do? Things that I can do individually to help strengthen the ties of brotherhood and sisterhood within our Islamic communities. What are some of the things we can do that we talked about? Go ahead.
Tea parties.
Yes, mashallah, having tea parties or gatherings, having gatherings with other Muslims. Subhanallah, how many of you sisters will have a tea party and invite the sisters over? Okay, for crumpets and tea. Okay. Or have a gathering with the brothers. We just gonna go out and play football together, or basketball together, or racquetball together. You know, host gatherings to bring other Muslims together. What are some more things we can do?
Checking in and making sure that they're doing okay.
Exactly. Check in on your brothers and sisters in Islam. For those single women who have no husbands, those single women that are living by themselves, have a committee that calls them and checks to make sure everything's okay. If they need anything, are the kids okay? Good job. What are some more things we can do? Learning events. The sister here typed learning events. Yes, have classes, gatherings where that should be on the imam, where the imam gives lectures and stuff to educate the people. You don't want to just have anybody. I'm going to tell y'all something. We got to be careful with these Bible reading sessions. You know, remember the prophet said that we will imitate the Christians and everything. You know, the Christians have their Bible reading circles. Well, Muslims have their hadith reading circles. You got to be careful of that, because playing with the hadiths will blow up in your face. Those hadiths are not put in no order. Those hadiths don't give you the entire story. You know, you will read one sentence that's part of a 50-page khutbah. So, you know, leave the teaching to the people of knowledge. So that's why I say the imam should have learning events. Okay, you don't just have, we're going to gather together and read the Quran together. No, because you're going to misconstrue the meaning of it. No, don't even play with those hadiths. You don't know the history, so you can forget that. Maybe y'all can read some books together, like the stories of you can go to Darul Islam and buy those books called the stories of the companions and read that together. But don't mess with them hadiths or that Quran. What else can we do? Visit the sick. Good job.
To help them if they need help.
Exactly. And also to help other Muslims in your community when they need help. Visit the sick. Help those who need help. I'm getting ready to move. I need somebody to help me move. The brother's roof fell in. Let's go help rebuild his roof. Exactly as Brother Ibrahim said, be more forgiving. Not holding grudges. That's the big part. That's the big problem in our Islamic communities. You got people holding grudges against the imam because the imam corrected them or the imam told them they couldn't do something. We got to stop getting personal and holding grudges against each other. I go through that all the time. People hate me. Why do they hate me? They don't know me personally. They hate me because they came to ask me a question about Islam. And because I didn't give them the answer they wanted to hear, they hate me. I'm telling you, most people that tell you to stay away from Laila, they don't know nothing about me. I've been on this internet since 1986. They never knew what I looked like. They didn't even know my race. I just went live 3 years ago. But they hate me. Why? They'll tell you, she answered a question I didn't like. It ain't my fault. I didn't make the laws. Allah did. Don't ask. Don't ask if you don't want to know the answer. The Prophet told the companions that. Don't ask questions that you don't want to know the answers to. Because we ain't going to give you what you want to hear. We're going to give you what you need to hear. So if you don't hate on me, but they do. People don't like being told that they're doing something wrong. So we got to stop being petty and holding grudges against each other for no reason. Learn to keep our mouth closed. Stop asking questions. You know you wrong anyway. 9 times out of 10, guys, most people who commit sin, they know that they committing it because their heart, the fitra of the heart is not content. So 9 times out of 10, as a daya who've been giving dawah for the past 50 years, I've been giving dawah for over 50 years. I have learned that 9 out of the 10 people who come to me with questions already know that what they're doing is wrong. And then they cop an attitude when I reinforce that is wrong with the evidence. And now you hate me. I don't care. Perhaps you hate something that Allah loves. Remember that, guys. And that's another way we can learn to love for the sake of Allah. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to tell the companions, perhaps you hate something that Allah loves and that Allah brings a lot of good from. Subhanallah. So those are the things we talked about yesterday. And today we're going to continue with this book. We'll be starting at what's the page again? Page 70, I think. From page 170. From page 170 to 173. So everybody get the book out. I'm getting ready to put the PowerPoint up on the screen. We'll be doing pages 170 till 173. And let me put this up for the kids too. And y'all see how the kids, they really understand this. They follow along. And the kids understand everything because their hearts is already drawn to the truth. Their hearts already recognize the truth when they hear it. It's we adults that suffer with not wanting to yield to the truth. Okay, so let me put the PowerPoint up. Let's start with the Zoom people first. Hold on. Okay, Zoom people first. Okay, I'm coming to you. Okay, this is that new platform. Oh, and it's not, y'all see it's not lagging today. I got it. I still have that thing on and I forgot. But it's doing good. The Zoom background thing. Okay, here's the PowerPoint for you guys on Zoom. And now let me show it to the people on YouTube. Here we go. Building Brotherhood. There it is. Let me make it big screen. Whoa. Okay, inshallah, you guys can see this. Oh, hold on. Okay, it's still on Facebook, right? Let me log in on Facebook so I can see the people. Okay, there it is. All right. Good answers too, Sister Sakina, mashallah, and Pamela. Y'all doing good. Brother Ibrahim too. Y'all doing really good on these answers. And there will be a quiz after this, so pay attention. There will be a quiz. Okay, so tonight we'll be covering pages 170 through 173 of the book Diluting Bara, Volume 2. And we're going to speak about building brotherhood within the Muslim community. We're going to speak about how to go about building brotherhood. And I got a picture of a mosque here because I want you guys to remember, living in the Western world, the masjid, this is where we formulate our Muslim communities. This is where we come to interact together with. Whenever there's 2 or more Muslims in a town, in a village, we need to establish congregational prayer. We need to turn the barn into a gathering, into a mosque. Turn the garage into a mosque. Okay? So let's take a look at these pages here. And as we spoke about yesterday, true brotherhood and true sisterhood is based on trust, compassion, and sincerity. Why? Well, trust. It forms the foundation of any meaningful relationship. As we talked about yesterday, in our religion, Islam, trustworthiness is highly valued, and Allah emphasizes it so much. Remember the hadith, whereas the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a believer is not perfect because we're human. The believers commit sins, but there is one sin that a believer is not capable of doing, and that is the sin of lying or being dishonest. And that is so true. How many of you know people who are Muslims, but they don't practice the deen? They smoke marijuana, they drink alcohol, they don't pray, they fornicate. But one thing about that brother, one thing about that sister, she never lies. They never lie. And they'll admit what they're doing is wrong. And they, they're not deceptive. They don't steal. They don't cheat. That's how you know that there's belief still in their heart. It may be a little bit, but their fitra is still there. It's burning, but it's little, but it's there. So trustworthiness is everything in Islam. To be trustworthy, it means that you're reliable, you're honest, and you don't break your promises. Trust allows a person to be safe to be around. People are safe to be in your presence. And people know that your words and actions are truthful. So this leads to respect and honor. Remember, I told you these four characteristics are the branches that lead, are the roots that lead to many other branches of faith. So trust builds a sense of mutual understanding and confidence. The people can trust you. They're confident around you. They can rely on you. And also, brotherhood is based on compassion. And we all know what compassion leads to. Compassion leads to empathy, not sympathy. One of the things that I emphasize as a daya, as a caller to the truth, I tell the Muslims all the time, and particularly my students, don't go around sympathizing for people. Sympathy is bad because sympathy leads to pity, and pity leads to transgressing the limits of Allah. The opposite of sympathy is empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to put yourself in the shoes of another person and imagine how you would behave or what you would expect. Islam encourages us to empathize for others, and it discourages us from sympathizing. And in order to empathize, you have to have compassion. Those Muslims that you see today who transgress the limits of Allah, when what happened in Gaza first started, what did the ignorant Muslims do? They put out a list talking about boycott, and they had all these American companies on this list, and none of those companies have anything to do with Israel. First of all, America doesn't allow you to send money to other governments. You got to go through the laws, the federal government for that stuff. They had Starbucks at the top of the list. Starbucks is a franchise. It's not a company like that. It's a company that you can buy. It's owned by you. You're just using the name Starbucks. Subhanallah, when that war started, look what happened. Muslims who had no compassion, instead they had sympathy. They were running around feeling sorry for the people in Gaza. And we're not supposed to feel sorry for them at all. We're supposed to empathize, but not pity anyone. Why are you pitying people who are stronger than you? Allah tells us that He only will test us in accordance to our faith. The simple fact that Allah brought that war there, it tells you that them people are stronger in their faith than you are. So what is there to pity? You don't pity them. These ignorant Muslims began destroying all the Starbucks stores. They were tearing up stores here and there. And then you saw in the news that many of those stores are owned by Muslims because it's a good investment, a coffee shop. Franchises are easy to go into. In fact, I'm getting ready to open up a Starbucks franchise. Oh, yes, I am. As soon as I pay off my debits. Okay? And you saw these Muslims standing on the street, these Arab men saying, look what they did. Me no Israel, me Muslim. And they had their children there. He said, how I'm going to feed my children, my family? They destroy my livelihood. These ignorant Muslims who lack compassion. They were governed by sympathy and not empathy. And that's what sympathy does. Sympathy will cause us to transgress the boundaries of Allah. We're not supposed to feel sorry for anyone. Islam teaches us to empathize. If we did more empathizing, we'd be able to handle ourselves with dignity and humility and balance, because you would be putting yourself in that person's shoes and imagining how you would behave and how you would want others to treat you. So compassion, it leads to empathy and it leads to kindness. Sympathy doesn't lead to kindness. Sympathy leads to tearing down people's stores, blowing up people's homes. Empathy leads to kindness and it leads to understanding. So compassion is something that we need to work on in our Islamic communities. If we were more compassionate, we would be concerned for the well-being of the people in our community. We would be more sensitive. You wouldn't send a woman away. A sister comes to the mosque. She's got 4 children. She has no husband. She works her behind off, but she cannot get caught up in her bills because it takes money to buy clothes for children. So she comes to the mosque. She says, my light bill, My light bill is $400. I can't pay this, but the kids need to be warm. Can you help me? If we had more compassion, we wouldn't turn that sister away like a lot of these masjis are doing. You would turn a woman away because you're not sensitive to her needs. You're not sensitive to her feelings. So again, you guys see trust, compassion, and sincerity. Why do the masjis turn you away? The brothers there lack compassion. Compassion will allow us to connect on a deeper level. Compassion will allow us to offer support and comfort and assistance when needed. Compassion will develop an atmosphere of warmth in your communities. But we're lacking this. We're too busy sympathizing for Gaza instead of showing compassion to the Muslims. Also, brotherhood is based on sincerity. Sincerity is the key ingredient in building genuine relationships. Nobody wants a fair-weathered friend. Nobody wants a smile in your face backstabber. Don't nobody want to be around a backstabber. Sincere people care for others. Sincere people seek the well-being and happiness for others. Sincerity leads to trust, and it creates an atmosphere of authenticity and openness where the people are not afraid to come and ask for help. Subhanallah. So now you can see the importance of trust, compassion, and sincerity. I want everybody to ponder this verse where Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, friends on the day of judgment will be enemies to one another, except for those who are righteous. This verse of the Quran serves as a reminder of the importance of sincerity, compassion, the importance of brotherhood, trust. In a world where friendships can easily turn to hatred, if we stick to the principles of sincerity and trust and compassion, we'll be united even on the day of judgment. We won't turn against each other, taking deeds from one another. So again, guys, those three qualities, trust, compassion, sincerity, they are the foundation. They should be the foundation of the Islamic community. The people in that community should base their existence on those three things. And then we can develop strong bonds of brotherhood. Then we can promote unity. And then we can live in a harmonious Islamic community. And so now what I want to do is give some examples, which is what we always do here. Everything we teach as Sunnah followers is based on the Quran and the authentic hadith. And we always give examples from the companions because they were the best of this nation. Whenever something is confusing, we don't look to see what an imam had to say. We don't look to see what a sheikh has to say. We don't go to Islam Q&A. No, we look to see what understanding the companions had about it. So now I'm going to go over some examples of brotherhood from them. And let's start with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his friend Abu Bakr. Their relationship is a great example of true friendship and loyalty. Despite facing hardships, Abu Bakr always remained committed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their friendship was an example of true trust, support, and unwavering loyalty. And their example should inspire every Muslim to uphold those virtues in their friendships. I did the stories of the female heroines of Islam. I did you guys the story of Aisha, radiallahu anha, who was the daughter of Abu Bakr and the wife of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the people slandered Aisha, when they accused her, the hypocrites accused her of adultery. She was the daughter of Abu Bakr, but Abu Bakr did not put his love for his daughter above that of the Prophet Muhammad. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam approached Aisha, he said, Aisha, just if you did anything wrong, repent to Allah, because Allah forgives all sins. Aisha got angry. She said, you're going to come and say that to me? She said, you, my husband, you should be out there defending me. You should be championing me. He said, I can't, because I'm the messenger of Allah. Can't make the people think that I'm treating you any differently. So then she turned to her father. She said, you're my father. Speak on my behalf. Tell him that he should defend me. Tell him that it's his job as my husband to champion me. Abu Bakr looked at Aisha and said, I can't do that. He's the messenger of Allah. And like he said, if you did anything wrong, go and repent to Allah. So that's an example where most of us put our children before everything. Abu Bakr didn't. He stood his ground with the Prophet Muhammad and told Aisha, no, I'm not going to champion you either. I'm going to stand in support of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he's the messenger of Allah. So that's a great example of brotherhood, of trust, friendship, loyalty that we need to think about today. And also another companion, Bilal radiallahu anha. Bilal was an African slave. We're living in the days of fitan today. Racism, tribalism is rampant. The Muslims are all bent out of shape about what's going on in Gaza. But ain't nobody talking about what's going on in Africa. The Muslims in the Sudan have been genocided since 2011, and ain't nobody talking about them. The Muslims in Nigeria have been genocided since 2010. Ain't nobody talking about them. The Muslims in Rwanda, the Muslims in the Congo, the Muslims in Somalia, they've been going through genocide since the early 2000s. Even the Muslims in Ghana and Gambia. But you don't hear no people talking about them. Why? Because as some of the TikTok videos say, let the Africans eat dirt. All we care about is Gaza. Astaghfirullah. Well, that's not how those companions were. Bilal was a black African slave from Ethiopia. Abu Bakr freed him. He bought him and freed him from his slave masters to show compassion. He also broke the societal barriers by freeing not just a black man, but a slave too, to show that social status, color of the skin is of no importance at all. What unites us is the fact that we believe La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So you darn skippy, I'm freeing this black man. And he wasn't the only one he freed. Abu Bakr spent a lot of his money freeing slaves who were being oppressed for their belief. And they remained the best of friends until their deaths. So their friendship exemplifies that genuine connections, sincerity, Sincerity transcends social status or color of the skin, which is something that we're lacking today as Muslims. All we care about is Gaza. And that is so sad. That is so pathetic that we're turning our heads away from Africa. We've been turning our head away from them since 2010. SubhanAllah. Another example, we talk about solidarity and tribalism. The Quraysh and the Ansar, different tribes, but they bonded together as one. The Quraysh, they left their homes and migrated to Medina for the sake of Allah. And they were embraced and supported by the Ansar. The Ansar shared their food, their houses with them, even offered to divorce their wives so they could marry some of them. This shows solidarity, the spirit of brotherhood, the simple fact that we all believe La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur. That's our flag. That's our standard. That's the banner that we wear around our bodies. So again, guys, you know, we wonder why Allah sent the war. And this war ain't going to stop no time soon. Anybody thinking that what's going on is going to stop, you crazy. It's getting ready to spread. This is the beginning of what will lead to the end. This is the beginning of the war against Islam. Because it's been happening in Africa. Now it's in the Middle East. It's going to spread throughout the Middle East and then to America and Europe. This is the beginning of the end. If you think it's getting ready to stop, you are out your mind. Okay? Allah sent it because we deviated away from wala wa bara. We're not living la ilaha illallah anymore. We don't even know the meaning of it. We have no allegiance, no solidarity. It's all based on race, tribe, color. But if we look at the examples of the companions of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's how we can gain the proper insight in building genuine relationships. And maybe then Allah would take the war away. But I'm here to tell you, it ain't going to happen. It's a beautiful dream, but it's not going to happen. It's going to get worse. As the Prophet Muhammad said, trust is going to disappear to the point where you won't be able to trust nobody. Compassion is already replaced with sympathy. And because of sympathy, that's why Muslims are saying, let Africa eat dirt, eat the mud. Sincerity disappeared years ago. Subhanallah. Trust. It's hard to find that too. So again, guys, the trust, the compassion, sincerity, those are the things that's needed to build Muslim communities. But unfortunately, they're almost non-existent today. All right, look at the internet and see how we hate each other. Even in my stream, there's always some idiots that come in my stream who are Muslims wanting to try to fight with Layla because, first of all, they awliya of shaitan. Secondly, they don't have wala and bara towards each other. We're hating on each other. Like the Prophet said, we will never be destroyed by our enemies. Our destruction will never come from Israel. It will never come from America. As the Prophet said, our destruction will come from ourselves. We will kill, destroy each other. What's the source? Sahih Muslim. And it's already happening today. Let Africa eat mud. It's already happening today. All right. So let's take a look at this quiz. Okay, first question. Brotherhood is based on what 3 characteristics? Brotherhood is based on what 3 characteristics? Say it again.
Righteousness.
Not really. It's 3 things that lead to righteousness. What are the 3 characteristics that lead to righteousness?
Trust, compassion, and sincerity.
Good job. Trust, compassion, and sincerity, guys. Trust, compassion, and sincerity. Okay? Good job. Next question. When we talk about trust, trust leads to which of the following things? Does it lead to reliability? Does it lead to commitment? Does it lead to confidence? Or does it lead to all of the above? Trust forms or leads
All
to
of the above.
Okay, she said all the above. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Anybody disagree?
Yes.
Okay, good job. This is correct. Trust leads to all of these things. You'll become more reliable. You'll become more committed, and you will have confidence. Good job. What about this one? Compassion. Compassion brings about which of the following? Does it bring about empathy? Does it bring about sympathy? Does it bring about concern for others? Does it bring about support? Or does it bring about all of the above? Or does it bring about all of the above except number 2?
Number 6. All of the above except number 2.
Yeah.
MashaAllah, good job. I talked about it enough. You Muslims got to stop sympathizing over Gaza. Because of that sympathy, y'all better remove it and replace it with empathy, because y'all done transgressed like crazy. Putting out TikTok videos talking about all you care about is Gaza. You don't care about nothing else. What kind of Muslims are you? Okay? Sympathy. You're a Muslim that lacks compassion. Instead of having compassion, you're a sympathetic person. You're a person that walks around, number 1, feeling sorry for yourself. By the way, people who are sympathetic are people who feel sorry for themselves a lot. These are people who don't do nothing to try to better their own life. They do nothing to change their situation into something better. Sympathy is bad, guys. Get over that. That's a characteristic of Shaitan. You better become a person of empathy, not sympathy. All right? What about this one? None of our actions are accepted without which of the following? Intentions, commitment, practice, all of the above, or all of the above except number 3. None of our actions are accepted without intentions, commitment, or practice. Or is it all of the above? Or is it all of the above except number 3?
All of the above.
Which one?
I think all of the above.
Okay, she said all of the above. What do you guys, everybody agree?
Yes.
Okay, this answer is wrong. Yes, it's all of the above except number 3. You don't have to have practice. For example, if I give in charity, do I have to practice it first for Allah to accept it? No. But I do have to have the intention. Okay? Intentions is commitment. I put the word commitment there because it's just a synonym of intentions. But practice means I do it over and over and over again, you know, and then no, you don't have to do it over and over again. You're rewarded for any good deed you do. If I scratch your back one time, Allah gave me a reward for that. I don't have to keep doing it over and over and over again. Good job. I try to make that tricky for you. So, mashallah, that's today's class in a nutshell. And mashallah, you guys did better. Like I said, everything, Islam is all about Tawheed, Tawheed, Tawheed. You got these Muslims on the internet teaching everything but Tawheed. All that Arabic. I'm sorry, you can read the Quran beautifully. It ain't gonna get you in paradise, okay? If your belief system is twisted, you ain't going to paradise. Look at Iblis. He's a great example. Iblis probably knows that Quran better than any of us. After all, he's the one that even told us about Ayat Kursi. But with all that Quran that Iblis knows, he still is Iblis and he's still going to hell. So I tell y'all, get your priorities together. Learning that Quran, learning that Arabic ain't going to save you. But what will save you is Aqidah, knowing this stuff here that I'm teaching.
Oh yeah, and don't forget to join us in the 24-hour Zoom room for behind-the-scenes access.